I often question if I'm the ideal husband. My job can be quite demanding, and admittedly, there are times when I return home with a bit of a sour mood. I may not be the epitome of financial success either. While I'm no millionaire, we manage to live comfortably. Our home is pleasant. We own 2 nice cars. My wife enjoys a wardrobe full of lovely clothes, and our 8-year-old daughter, Vanessa, is surrounded by plenty of pricey toys. Ultimately, I see myself as a straightforward, hard-working man who deeply cares for his wife and family. Gloria and I have shared almost 12 years of marital bliss, though lately a shadow has fallen over our relationship. Something feels off between us, a subtle shift that's difficult to pinpoint. Gloria has been distant, exhibiting an aloofness I've never seen before. She's been quick to find fault with me over trivial matters, which is unlike her at all. I've attempted to broach the subject, asking if there's something bothering her that she's not sharing, but like many spouses, she brushes it off, attributing her behavior to fatigue or a rough day. Initially, I hoped to give her space to sort through whatever is troubling her, but her detached demeanor is wearing thin and starting to grate on my nerves. Apart from her demeanor, any married couple knows that relationship issues with your spouse tend to spill over into the bedroom. I've always made an effort to keep our love life lively and spontaneous. Being a romantic at heart, I often surprised Gloria with gestures, like bringing home a dozen roses after work to kickstart foreplay. In the past, these actions reliably led to intimate moments later in the evening. However, lately, my romantic efforts were met with mere gratitude and a quick kiss on the cheek. Instead of appreciating the gestures for what they were, it seemed as if Gloria interpreted them as attempts to make amends for some imagined wrongdoing. For weeks now, Gloria hadn't shown any initiative in intimacy, and her responses to my advances ranged from being not in the mood to citing the classic excuse of a headache. Even on the rare occasions when she acquiesced, she remained passive, leaving me to do all the work. As time went on, I found myself mentally withdrawing from the situation. I'd come home, spend time with our daughter, and consciously avoid interacting with Gloria as much as possible, which only served to exacerbate the situation. Feeling increasingly desperate, I took moments at work to reflect on how everything had started and whether I might have inadvertently triggered Gloria's change in behavior. However, my attempts at introspection yielded no answers. I replayed countless scenarios in my mind, attempting to dissect the possible causes behind Gloria's behavior. The more I pondered, the more an unthinkable possibility kept resurfacing. Could my wife be having an affair? I vehemently denied such a notion, reassuring myself that she would never betray our marriage. Yet every time I tried to piece together the puzzle, it seemed like there was a third element, me, Gloria, and a potential lover. Despite my attempts to dismiss the idea, curiosity got the better of me. I delved into articles about signs of infidelity, looking for changes in behavior, attire, and routines. Admittedly, I hadn't noticed any significant shifts in Gloria's appearance or habits, but my interactions with her were primarily limited to evenings after work. Who knows how she presents herself during the day or what her schedule entails, yet some of the telltale signs of infidelity seemed uncomfortably familiar, particularly her altered attitudes towards me. The thought of hiring a private investigator crossed my mind, but without concrete evidence, it seemed premature and unjustifiable. All I had were suspicions, nothing substantial enough to justify the expense of hiring a PI. So I began conducting my own investigations, resorting to small measures like calling home during the day to see if Gloria was there, albeit yielding inconsistent results. I decided to take matters into my own hands and acquired an old surveillance camera to discreetly install under the eaves of our garage. Connecting it to a hidden tape unit tucked away behind some paint cans, I aimed to monitor any unfamiliar vehicles approaching our home. However, after 2 weeks of surveillance, there were no signs of any suspicious cars. There were occasions when I observed Gloria leaving the house, only for her to later claim she had been home all day. However, her absences were brief, seemingly too short for anything significant to occur. unless her potential paramour was remarkably swift. It's possible these outings were merely mundane errands she deemed unworthy of mention, hardly proof of an extramarital affair. As time passed, my suspicions persisted despite the absence of concrete evidence. Gloria's mood deteriorated, and our intimate moments became increasingly rare, leaving me frustrated and resentful. With our 12th anniversary approaching, I saw an opportunity to inject some excitement back into our marriage. I suggested we celebrate with a night out, something we hadn't done in ages. Perhaps a dinner and dancing would reignite the spark between us. Eager for a chance to reconnect, we arranged for Vanessa to stay the night at my parents' house, allowing us the freedom to enjoy ourselves without any time constraints. I reserved a table at Plato's Place, a restaurant Gloria adored. As the Major D led us to our table, I hoped to recapture some of the enchantment of our earlier years. However, Gloria appeared somewhat tense for reasons I couldn't quite discern. Ordering a bottle of wine seemed to ease her, gradually restoring her usual demeanor. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, regaining its playful tone. Following dinner, I sensed Gloria's eagerness to hit the dance floor. Though I suggested trying out a new club, she persuaded me to revisit our usual spot, a cozy venue with dim lighting and a dance floor catering to an older crowd. Given its ambience and music selection, it wasn't a hard sell. Dancing had always been one of our shared passions, a mutual interest that initially drew us together. Finding a secluded table, we indulged in a few drinks before gracefully gliding onto the dance floor, showcasing our moves with nostalgic flair. It felt like a return to old times, both of us relishing the moment. After nearly an hour of continuous dancing, fatigue began to set in, prompting us to retreat to our table for a brief respite. I settled into my chair, but before joining me, Gloria took a sip of her wine and excused herself to visit the restroom. As I watched my wife gracefully move across the dance floor, thoughts of impending intimacy lingered in my mind. However, my focus shifted when I noticed I wasn't the only one captivated by her presence. Across the room, a strikingly handsome man sat alone at a corner table, his gaze fixated on Gloria's every move. A pang of concern shot through me as I observed what seemed like a momentary exchange between them. Did they know each other? As Gloria disappeared into the restroom, I couldn't shake the feeling that the man's eyes lingered on me with a hint of smugness. Though the setting was purely a dance club, I puzzled over why he would be there solo, until it occurred to me that, like Gloria, his companion was likely in the restroom. Maintaining a watchful eye on the man while awaiting Gloria's return, I couldn't ignore the unsettling sense of suspicion creeping back in. When Gloria asked me to fetch another glass of wine, I hesitated. The thought of her sitting alone while I waited at the bar didn't sit well with me. Catching the attention of one of the barmaids, I opted for a more prompt service, though I couldn't shake the feeling of disappointment in Gloria's eyes as the young woman approached to take our order. I had a sinking feeling that the evening was about to take a turn for the worse. It was a gut instinct I couldn't shake. Glancing over my shoulder, I noticed the same man still sitting alone in the corner, confirming my suspicion that he was indeed by himself. "Who's the guy over in the corner?" I asked, catching Gloria off guard momentarily. I thought I detected a hint of panic in her eyes before she swiftly regained her composure. "What guy?" she responded innocently, though her tone betrayed a hint of discomfort. "The guy over there," I persisted, "the one you exchanged glances with on your way to the bathroom." Gloria's denial came quickly. "Honey, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't exchange glances with anyone." Just as our drinks arrived, I noticed Gloria's eyes darting past me. Turning, I saw the man approaching our table, bypassing me entirely as he addressed Gloria with a request to dance. "No thanks," I interjected sharply, my tone revealing my displeasure. His response was mocking. "I was talking to the lady," he retorted with a smirk. "Yeah, well, the lady is my wife, and I decide who she dances with," I snapped back, feeling a surge of indignation. Gloria intervened, attempting to diffuse the tension. "Darren, "You're being rude," she admonished gently. "Rude? Do you even know this guy?" I demanded, catching her off guard with a question. "He's the one I was talking about. I don't know what's going on between you two, but it's incredibly disrespectful for him to approach my wife without even acknowledging me." "Hey," Mr. Lonely attempted to interject, but I swiftly cut him off. "Do you mind? I'm talking to my wife, and I sure as hell don't need your input," I asserted firmly, turning back to Gloria to continue our conversation. Had he asked if I would mind you two dancing together, I might have considered it, but now, not a chance, I declared firmly, my frustration evident. "Darren, you're being silly," Gloria retorted, her tone now edged with impatience. "There's nothing going on between this gentleman and me. Yes, we're married, but you don't own me. I'm not your slave, and if I want to dance with someone, I will." I couldn't believe my wife was speaking to me in such a disrespectful manner. It was a level of disrespect she had never shown before. Though I was seething with anger, I made a conscious effort to control my temper as she continued speaking. "Honey, I just want to have some fun," she said, her tone softening. "Gloria, it's our anniversary. I want to have fun too, but with you. Sitting here watching you dance with someone else is not my idea of fun, especially after I've asked you not to dance with him," I responded, struggling to maintain composure. "Now you're right. I don't own you, and I can't stop you from dancing with him. But if you do, then you better get him to take you home too, because I'll be gone." After 12 years together, I could easily decipher Gloria's emotions from her expression. Despite her outward anger, I was surprised she couldn't detect the same emotions mirrored on my face. "Well, it's impolite to keep this gentleman waiting while we argue. I'm going to dance with him, and we'll discuss this later," she snapped, her words cutting through the tension. The jackass wore a triumphant smirk as he extended his hand for Gloria to take. She accepted, placing her hand in his as they made their way to the dance floor. I'm certain they didn't notice my departure as I slipped out the door before they even began to dance. By the time my cell phone rang, I was already several blocks away. "Where the hell are you?" Gloria's voice sounded contrite through the phone. "I'm heading home to pack a bag." "Why?" I responded tersely. There was a moment of silence. "What do you mean, pack a bag? Where are you going?" she questioned, her tone shifting to confusion. "I don't know yet, but I need to get away from you," I stated firmly. "I've reached my limit." "You can't be serious, Darren. It was just one dance, for heaven's sake. Are you really going to throw away 12 years of marriage over this?" she pleaded. "It's not just about the dance, Gloria. Why would you want to remain married to someone you don't love or respect? I haven't caught you in the act, but I strongly suspect you're cheating on me, perhaps with the jackass you just danced with. I saw the way you looked at each other when you went to the bathroom. And when he approached our table, he treated me with the same disdain a man shows the husband of the woman he's involved with. None at all. Darren," her voice softened, "I do love you and I respect you. I swear there was nothing going on between that guy and me. I would never cheat on you. Why would you even think that? You've got to be kidding me. We haven't been intimate in over 2 weeks, and when we do, you're barely even present. You've been irritable and short-tempered for the past 2 months. Don't tell me you respect me, because your actions tonight proved otherwise. If you're not having an affair, you're certainly doing a great impression of it." There was a long pause before she responded. "I'm sorry, Darren. I didn't realize. I'm sorry for how I acted. I'm sorry for tonight. I'm sorry I gave you reason to think I'm having an affair." Another brief pause. I guess I did glance at that guy on the way to the restroom. He was attractive. I noticed him while we were dancing too, but I'm not having an affair with him. Please, honey, please just come back and pick me up. Nope. Like I said, I've had enough. I told you if you danced with that guy, you'd have to find your own way home, and I meant it. I'm pulling into our driveway right now. By the time you get home, I'll be gone. If you are having an affair, maybe you should just go home with your lover boy and forget about me. Honey, please believe me, I'm not having an affair. Look, I'll grab a cab, but please just stay there until I get home. We need to talk this out. Please, I'll be home shortly, she begged before abruptly ending the call. Upon arriving home, I swiftly packed a bag and left the house within 12 minutes. Curiosity nagged at me. Would Gloria really take a cab home, or would the jackass drop her off? I drove down the block, switched off my lights, and waited. 15 minutes later, a yellow cab pulled into the driveway. Gloria hurriedly exited and darted into the house. Satisfied with what I saw, I headed for a motel. Almost immediately, my phone began to ring again. I switched it off. Though I lacked concrete evidence of infidelity, my suspicions remained strong. I was nearly convinced that Gloria and the man she danced with knew each other. Perhaps now was the time to hire that private detective. If I wasn't at home, maybe she would seek solace from her lover. The following day, I scored the yellow pages for the most promising private investigator. After visiting his office and providing a retainer, I headed to work. My secretary, Joan, informed me that Gloria had called 20 times already and something was amiss. I explained our marital issues and my decision not to return her calls. Instructing Joan to relay this message, I also informed the receptionist not to allow Gloria entry to the offices if she showed up. I needed to give the PI a chance to uncover the truth. Now it was a waiting game. Later that afternoon, I received a call from Andrea, our neighbor. Anticipating that it would concern Gloria, I answered despite my reluctance. Darren, she began. Gloria told me what happened the other night. She's been desperately trying to apologize, but she says you won't speak to her. That's correct, I replied firmly. I have nothing to discuss with her. I detected a sigh on the other end of the line. She also mentioned that you suspect her of cheating on you. You don't actually believe that, do you? I'm afraid I do, I admitted. Her behavior has been peculiar for over 2 months now. The incident the other night only validated my suspicions. Validated? She said, no, that's not entirely accurate. I witnessed them exchanging looks before he approached our table. He was exceedingly disrespectful towards me, and Gloria chose to support him, following his lead. Despite my warning her about the consequences, she disregarded my feelings. I'm almost certain those two are involved romantically. Darren, come on. I really think you're jumping to conclusions here. I've been your neighbor for years, and if Gloria was cheating on you, I'm pretty sure I would have noticed something. I've never seen any unfamiliar cars parked outside your house, nor have I seen any strange men coming and going. Please, she knows that dancing with that guy was a mistake. She got upset because you told her not to, but she's realized you were right. Trust me, Darren, I know Gloria, and she wouldn't cheat on you. I'm not so convinced anymore, Andrea. Her actions the other night didn't exactly scream love. Please, Darren, just talk to her. You're never going to resolve anything if you refuse to communicate with her. I knew Andrea was making sense, but I needed time for the private investigator to do his job. Andrea, do me a favor. Let her know I'll call her in a couple of weeks. I still need some time to think things over. Okay, Darren, she acquiesced. I'll pass on the message. But please, promise me you'll call her then, all right? I promise, I assured her. After exchanging goodbyes, I found myself contemplating once more. Andrea and her husband, Jack, were close friends, and I couldn't imagine Andrea lying to me. If Gloria was indeed being unfaithful, she was certainly keeping it well hidden. For the following 2 weeks, I was consumed with anxiety. I reached out to the investigator a couple of times, but each time, he informed me that there was nothing substantial to report. Finally, he summoned me to his office, and as I sat down, my stomach churned with nerves. He slid a manila envelope across the desk toward me, and my hand trembled as I picked it up. You can skip through all the mundane details, he advised, motioning toward the pages. Just head to the bottom of page 5. With shaky fingers, I flipped through the report until I reached the designated page. Could this be the proof I desperately sought? After conducting a thorough investigation, this office has found no evidence to support the client's suspicions of infidelity on the part of his spouse. I felt like the ground had shifted beneath me. Unsure of how to react, I glanced back up at the investigator. "Are you certain?" I questioned, disbelief coloring my tone. "Mr. Barnes, my team has meticulously monitored your wife's every move over the past 2 weeks. We've observed the house, monitored her communications, and trailed her whenever she left. We've scrutinized her phone records and credit card statements. There's simply no indication of any affair," he affirmed. Relief washed over me in waves, threatening to overwhelm me. I struggled to contain my emotions, resisting the urge to break down into tears of relief right there in his office. "Go home, Mr. Barnes," the investigator advised gently. "Return to your wife and child." In my line of work, happy endings are a rare sight. I expressed my gratitude to the investigator before returning to my motel room. I knew I still needed some time to gather my thoughts. Over the weekend, I mulled over everything that had transpired. By Monday morning, I felt ready to make a crucial call. When Gloria answered, her voice trembled with emotion. "Hello, it's me," I replied. "Are you okay? You sound upset." There was a brief silence before she spoke again. "Darren, oh Darren, I'm so sorry. I just don't know what to do if you don't come back to us. I've tried to be strong for Vanessa, but I can't stop crying. I'm sorry. I realize now that I took you for granted. You were right. I should have made it clear to that guy that I was with my husband and not interested. I showed you no respect, and I don't know why, because I do respect and love you. I promise, Darren, if you give me another chance, I'll never make that mistake again." Her heartfelt plea caught me off guard. It was a stark contrast to her demeanor at the dance club. As I hesitated to respond, she jumped to a conclusion. "You're not coming back, are you?" she asked, her voice tinged with despair. "No, Gloria, I'm coming back," I reassured her, "but only on a trial basis. I want my wife back, the woman I fell in love with, the woman I married. She's here, Darren. Truly, she's here waiting for the man she loves," Andrea insisted, her sincerity evident in her voice. "We'll see. After everything I've been through, the attitude, the lack of intimacy, the disrespect, I'm still not entirely convinced. Gloria, not yet. I need to go to the motel after work and gather my things, but I'll be home tonight," I informed her. There was a brief pause before Gloria spoke, her voice filled with remorse. "I love you, Darren. I'm deeply sorry for the way I treated you. I don't want to lose you." Despite her words, I couldn't shake off my reservations. I was still upset, and despite the evidence to the contrary, I couldn't shake the feeling that Gloria knew the man from the dance hall. After work, I collected my belongings and returned home. Vanessa greeted me enthusiastically at the door, unaware of our recent troubles. Gloria was there too, wrapping her arms around me and showering me with affectionate kisses. In that moment, as I kissed her back with fervor, I couldn't deny that I still loved my wife. That was 2 years ago, and since then, married life has been nothing short of wonderful. Gloria has once again become the woman I fell in love with, both inside and outside the bedroom. A few months back, she surprised me with a birthday party, a gesture we hadn't done much for my birthday in the past, but became a tradition upon my return. Last night marked our 14th wedding anniversary, and this time, Gloria took charge of planning the entire evening. When I arrived home from work, she greeted me with tickets to a dinner playhouse to see Man of La Mancha, one of my favorite plays. After the show, we took a leisurely drive down to the lakefront and strolled along the beach. With the moon casting its gentle glow and warm breezes blowing in from the lake, it felt like a scene out of a romantic movie. "I love you, darling," I whispered, feeling as if we were still in the honeymoon phase of our relationship. "And I love you very much, my dear," replied my adored wife, her eyes sparkling with affection. Asterisk asterisk part 2. Gloria's side of the story asterisk asterisk. Even though the calendar had officially declared the arrival of spring a couple of weeks earlier, it was only on this day that Gloria could step out of the house without her heavy winter coat. It marked the definitive end of yet another harsh Chicago winter. As she stepped outside, Gloria inhaled deeply, taking in the fresh scent of morning dew that lingered after the gentle April shower overnight. A smile tugged at her lips as she reminisced about the warm and secure feeling of being wrapped in her husband's embrace while they lay in bed, listening to the soothing patter of raindrops. On her way to the car, Gloria couldn't help but notice the beautiful blue wildflowers sprouting from the lawn. Their resilience in the face of winter's adversity struck her, reminding her of the innate desire for renewal and new beginnings that spring always brings. Humming along to the tunes playing on the car radio, Gloria made her way to the quaint coffee shop where she was meeting Zara, a dear friend she hadn't seen in a while. Zara had a son the same age as Vanessa, Gloria's daughter, and their friendship had blossomed years ago at a school function. Since then, they had remained close friends, sharing in each other's joys and challenges. Zara had arrived before Gloria, snagging a cozy table in the corner by the window. Their eyes met through the glass, exchanging waves and smiles as Gloria made her way inside. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the bustling cafe as Gloria joined the line of customers eagerly awaiting their own cup of Colombian bliss. When Zara spotted Gloria approaching, she stood up with a grin. "Hi," they both exclaimed, sharing a warm hug before settling into their seats. "It's been too long," Gloria remarked. "How have you been?" Zara's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm as she shared updates with her friend. They reminisced about old times, laughing at memories from school functions they had attended together. They exchanged stories about their children, marveling at how quickly time flew by. As they delved deeper into conversation, Zara leaned in closer, lowering her voice. "Gloria," she whispered, "can you keep a secret?" "Of course," Gloria replied, miming the act of locking her lips and tossing away the key. "What's going on?" "I probably shouldn't even be telling you this," Zara confessed, her excitement evident. "But I've been, well, kind of seeing this guy." Gloria's coffee halted midway to her lips as she fixed her friend with a startled gaze. "Wait, aren't you saying you're considering having an affair?" Zara's lips curved into a mischievous half-smile. "Well, we haven't crossed any lines yet, but I'm seriously thinking about it. It's Eric. He's just different, you know. Being with him makes me feel alive. But I'm worried he might lose interest if I don't take it to the next level." "So, wait a minute," interrupted Gloria, her voice tinged with concern. "Have you thought about the consequences? Are you willing to risk your marriage for him?" Zara shrugged, a hint of nonchalance in her tone. "Oh, I'm not talking about leaving Nick or anything. It's just a little excitement on the side. Like they say, the spice of life," she remarked with a smile. "And don't worry, I'd make sure Nick never found out. He'd be devastated if he knew. Besides, Eric's married too. We'd have to be discreet." Gloria felt a surge of anxiety gnawing at her, torn between her loyalty to her friend and her own moral compass. After 2 years of bearing her own secret, she decided to take a leap of faith and confide in Zara. "Zara, do you remember a couple of years ago when Darren and I hit a rough patch? He actually left me for a little while, remember?" "Yeah, I do, but you never really opened up about it," Zara replied. "I never told anyone, and you have to swear not to breathe a word of what I'm about to tell you to another living soul," Gloria said, her tone grave. Zara nodded solemnly. "Of course, Gloria, I promise. If this ever got out, it could ruin my marriage. That's why I've kept it buried. But, well, you need to hear it before you make any decisions that could jeopardize your own marriage." Gloria paused as the waitress topped off their coffee cups, then continued, her voice low and urgent. "I'm probably no different from most other married women out there. After 12 years of marriage, I started feeling, I don't know, bored. Everything was becoming routine. It was like, After all those years, I looked around and realized, what am I doing? Where am I going? Nowhere. I felt stuck, like I had no real life of my own. Exactly, Zara interjected, her eyes reflecting understanding. I know exactly how you feel, Gloria. I think most women experience something similar. It's not that you don't love your husband. I adore Darren with all my heart. But suddenly, it's like something's missing. I started feeling like I was slipping into a slight depression. Nothing felt exciting anymore, not even sex. And it wasn't anyone's fault. Darren was doing everything he could for me, especially in the bedroom. I should have been over the moon, but nothing seemed to lift my spirits, not even school functions. Gloria took a moment to sip her coffee, gauging Zara's reaction. Seeing her friend's attentive expression, she continued, "And then I met Louis." "Hugh, you had an affair?" Zara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Gloria nodded solemnly. "An emotional affair, yes. Thankfully, I came to my senses before it turned physical. Thank goodness," she added with a heavy sigh. "I was at that little grocery store on Marshall Avenue one day, and there he was. Oh, Zara, he was absolutely stunning. With his rugged good looks, sandy blonde hair, and those mesmerizing blue eyes that sparkled like Robert Redford's. And tall too. I'm certain he was well over 6 feet. Even with his clothes on, I could tell he had a nice build. I couldn't tear my eyes away from him, until he caught me, of course. I felt myself blushing as he smiled back at me. We began flirting, and it was thrilling, almost forbidden. But eventually, I snapped out of it. I needed to focus on my shopping, so I made my way to the produce aisle. As I reached for some tomatoes, I accidentally bumped into him. He looked at me with those captivating blue eyes and that charming smile and greeted me. Zara. I hate to admit it, but I could feel myself getting aroused. It was so embarrassing. I prayed he couldn't sense the scent I was giving off. I must have been blushing profusely. He extended his hand to shake mine and introduced himself. Despite noticing my wedding rings, he didn't seem deterred from trying to pursue me. It was quite flattering to think that a man like him could be interested in me. We chatted and laughed as we navigated the aisles, picking up our groceries. And as we reached the checkout, he boldly gave me his number and suggested we meet for lunch the following week. Zara hung on every word of Gloria's story, finding it eerily familiar. I almost tossed his card away as I was leaving the store. I thought, yeah, right, I'm going to call you, and we're going to have this intensely hot romantic love affair. And then my husband will kill us both. I didn't though. Didn't what? Zara asked, her curiosity piqued. I didn't throw his card away. I stuck it in my purse. Shit, all the way home. All I could think about was Louis. Darren came home as I was putting the groceries away. I already felt so guilty I snapped at him when he tried to help. I think it was some kind of unconscious defense mechanism. Poor Darren just asked if there was something wrong. Oh my God, what do you say? I lied, of course. I told him I was just a little tired from shopping. Truth was, I was secretly walking on cloud 9. Anyway, Gloria continued, I knew I shouldn't call him. It was wrong. I also knew that because of the way I was feeling, I was very vulnerable. I kept telling myself, no, 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 but I just couldn't help myself. I found one of the last payphones in the city and dialed the number on the card he gave me. We arranged to have lunch the following day. With bated breath, Zara waited for Gloria to take another sip of coffee before continuing. Zara, as we were heading to the restaurant, my emotions were in turmoil. I felt a mix of terror, excitement, and intense desire. At one point during our conversation, Louis reached across the table and clasped my hand. I was overwhelmed with the urge to be intimate with him, but a nagging sense of guilt or perhaps pure fear held me back. Regardless, I just couldn't bring myself to act on it. But Louis wasn't deterred. He had already begun his seductive tactics, subtly undermining Darren and painting him as unworthy of me. Foolishly, I fell for it. finding myself resenting my own husband before I knew it. Louis had skillfully manipulated me into believing Darren didn't appreciate me. "Gosh, Gloria, your situation sounds so much like mine," Zara remarked. "That's exactly why I'm sharing this with you, Zara. I want you to understand what you might be getting yourself into. Your guy, has he started mentioning Nick yet?" "No, not really," Zara replied, pausing to reconsider. "Well, I mean, he's asked a few questions, like does your husband realize how fortunate he is? Stuff like that." "I see," Gloria nodded knowingly. "And naturally, you're beginning to ponder that yourself, aren't you?" "Well, Zara, it's surprising how things can slip by unnoticed. When Darren left me, he mentioned that I'd been short with him for over 2 months. I hadn't even realized it. The same went for our intimacy. I couldn't muster up any passion with someone who I felt was taking me for granted." As Gloria recounted her experience, she could see realization dawning in Zora's eyes. "Consider it, Zora. What kind of man engages in an affair with a married woman? Can you picture Nick doing something like that?" "Nick? No, never. He wouldn't do that," Zara replied firmly. "Exactly. So why jeopardize her marriage for someone who would?" Gloria posed the question pointedly. While Zara contemplated Gloria's words, Gloria continued her narrative. "Anyway, we met for lunch again the following week, and with each meeting, it became increasingly difficult to remain faithful to Darren. By our third lunch, he almost persuaded me to accompany him back to his apartment. I could sense his frustration with my excuses, and I knew that if we met for lunch one more time, we'd end up in bed together. As we exited the restaurant following our third lunch date, I casually mentioned that I needed to shop for a new dress because Darren had planned a special outing for our anniversary. I mentioned that we might revisit a dance club we used to frequent, reminiscing about the fun times we had there. Louis saw an opening and immediately seized it. He declared his intention to join us at the club, insisting he'd dance with me. I warned him against it, reminding him it was our anniversary and dancing with someone else might upset my husband. But Louis, in his arrogance, brushed off my concerns, claiming it would teach Darren a lesson. He wanted to demonstrate to Darren that other men desired me, hoping it would make Darren appreciate me more. "Oh dear, Gloria, he didn't actually show up, did he?" Zara asked, aghast. Gloria took a sip of her coffee before replying. "He certainly did. I spotted him as soon as we entered the club. Naturally, I didn't acknowledge him. Darren and I were enjoying ourselves until Louis approached and asked me to dance." "Oh my goodness," Zara whispered, shocked. "Yep, and to top it off, he completely disregarded Darren, even acting rudely towards him. Naturally, Darren was offended and gave me an ultimatum, saying I couldn't dance with Louis. You know how stubborn I can be sometimes. I got upset and insisted I would dance with him anyway. Darren warned me he wouldn't be there when we finished dancing, but who takes such threats seriously, right?" Zara observed Gloria's eyes brimming with emotion as she continued. "As we hit the dance floor, I confronted Louis about his behavior towards Darren. I asked him why he had to be so disrespectful, to which he replied that he wanted to put Darren in his place. That just fueled my anger. Of course, Louis kept me close while we danced, but at that point, my main concern was whether Darren was watching and getting even angrier. I was so preoccupied that I didn't even notice when the first dance ended and we started the second. When the music stopped, I told Louis not to ask for any more dances. I declared that I was going to spend the rest of the evening with my husband. As I headed back to our table, I saw Louis trailing behind me. I demanded to know what he thought he was doing, and he said he wanted to apologize to Darren. When we returned to the table, Darren was nowhere to be seen. Louis took a seat and casually mentioned he'd wait with me until Darren returned. I had a sinking feeling that he had no intention of apologizing. Rather, I suspected he wanted to continue stirring up trouble between Darren and me. "Why would he do that?" Zara inquired, puzzled. "What would he gain from it?" I mulled it over, and my best guess is that since he hadn't succeeded in seducing me yet, he thought he'd try to create discord between Darren and me instead. I imagine he hoped I'd turn to him for comfort, with the expectation that he'd end up consoling me in bed before the night was over. I assumed Darren had gone to the restroom. I urged Louis to return to his own table, but he kept dragging his feet. When the waitress approached, he took the opportunity to order us drinks. It was then that she asked if we wanted to open another tab. I was dumbfounded. Darren had settled the bill before leaving. Zara, I felt like I was watching my entire married life flash before my eyes. I couldn't believe he had just abandoned me like that. Gloria's distress was palpable as she recounted her story, and Zara couldn't help but feel the weight of her friend's pain. Emotions stirred within Zara, and soon a solitary tear escaped her eye, tracing a path down her cheek. "You shouldn't have to tell me all of this, Gloria," Zara said, her voice thick with empathy. "You're upset. Maybe we should stop here." "No, I need to tell you everything, Zara," Gloria insisted, her determination evident. "You need to understand the whole picture. It's important." She paused, collecting herself. "So, where was I?" "Right, I immediately reached for my phone and called Darren, asking him to come back and pick me up. That's when he dropped the bombshell. He thought I was having an affair, and he suspected it was with Louis. He said he was going to pack a bag and leave, unsure if he'd return." Gloria reached for a napkin, wiping away the tears that had gathered in her eyes. "It hit me like a ton of bricks, Zora," she continued. "It was like a sudden revelation, everything becoming clear. It wasn't Darren who was taking me for granted. He had done everything he could to support me. It was me. I was the one taking him, Vanessa, and our life together for granted. I realized I was risking my entire marriage for some jerk. I begged Darren to come back so we could talk, but he refused, so I called a cab." "What was Louis up to during all of this?" Zara inquired. "Oh, he wasn't giving up, not yet. He insisted that Darren didn't deserve me and urged me to go home with him instead. I promptly shut him down," she recounted with a chuckle. "But even after that he persisted. He followed me outside and tried to make a move as the cab pulled up. I didn't hesitate to give him a knee to the groin. Bent over in pain, I made it clear that any further attempts to contact me would result in a sexual harassment lawsuit." Zara reached out and grasped her friend's hand as Gloria wiped away more tears. "By the time I got home, Darren was nowhere to be found. I tried calling him, but his phone was off." "Zara, I was terrified. I could see my marriage falling apart right in front of me. Everything we had built, our whole family, seemed to be on the verge of crumbling. I've never been so scared in my life. The following day, I attempted to reach him at his workplace, but he refused to speak with me. His secretary informed me that he had instructed the receptionist to prevent me from seeing him if I showed up. Feeling desperate, I sought out Andrea, my neighbor, as Darren had a good rapport with her and her husband. I hoped she might be able to convince him to talk to me. Surprisingly, he did speak to her, but only to express that he needed time to think and promised to contact me in a couple of weeks. Recognizing that pressuring him would be counterproductive, I decided to give him the space he requested. Those 2 weeks were excruciating. Whenever Vanessa was present, I forced myself to appear strong and told her that Daddy was away. But in private, I couldn't help but cry. I feared I had irreparably damaged our relationship. Darren was so angry, I doubted he would ever return, especially if he believed I had been unfaithful. Gloria paused, her voice choked with emotion. "I'm sorry," she said to Zara, wiping away tears. "It's still difficult to talk about, even after all this time." Taking a deep breath, she continued her story. "As I was saying, Darren finally called and said he was coming home. Zara, I was on the brink of losing everything, and let me tell you, it made me realize the value of what I had and how incredibly fortunate I was. Ultimately, Zara, love must prevail over desire. I love Darren, and he loves me. In my eyes, there's no man in this world worth jeopardizing that for." Wow, Zara responded thoughtfully. You're absolutely right. I can't imagine what I would do if my husband left me. Did you ever confess the truth to Darren? Are you kidding? After coming so close to losing him, I couldn't risk it happening again. Zara, I live in constant fear that one day he'll uncover the truth, but since the day he returned home, I've strived to be the best wife I can be. I no longer take him or our marriage for granted. Every day, I thank my lucky stars for what I have, and I express my gratitude to Darren with all the passion in my heart. All I can hope for is that it's enough if he ever does discover the truth. Zara squeezed Gloria's hand reassuringly. I'm so grateful you shared your story with me, Gloria. You've prevented me from making the huge mistake. Thank you. The two girls conversed for a brief while longer, then tentatively arranged their next meeting before bidding each other goodbye. Gloria felt a sense of satisfaction, knowing she had just steered her friend away from a disastrous choice. She arrived home in time to greet her daughter with a kiss and a snack after school. Vanessa is growing up so quickly, she mused to herself. She'll be 10 soon. Where does the time fly? When Darren returned from work, Gloria welcomed her husband with warm embraces and kisses. She had never broached the subject of their challenging marital period until that day. Talking to Zara served as a poignant reminder of the wonderful life she and Darren had built together. Later that night, with Darren peacefully asleep beside her, Gloria shifted onto her side and propped herself up on her elbow. She studied the lines on his face, each a testament to the passage of time and the memories they held. With a delicate touch, she traced a few of the newer lines, her heart swelling with affection and admiration for the man lying beside her. Gently, Gloria pressed her lips against his, but as their kiss deepened, Darren's lips curved into a wide grin. He enveloped his beloved wife in a tight embrace, returning her affection with a fervent kiss. I thought you were asleep, Gloria whispered. Actually, I was lying here thinking about what to get Vanessa for her birthday, he replied. You know what she really needs. What? Gloria inquired. A baby brother or sister, Darren announced. Although not entirely unexpected, the suggestion of expanding their family brought a smile to Gloria's face. It seemed her husband had just settled the debate for them. Well, her birthday is only 2 months away. Honey, shouldn't we get started? Gloria teased. Darren's smile widened. You read my mind. 2 months later, Vanessa celebrated her 10th birthday with a grand party in the backyard. Mom and Dad invited all her friends, ensuring there was an abundance of ice cream and cake for everyone. After the festivities, Gloria and Darren surprised their daughter with yet another lavish gift, and the joyful news of a forthcoming baby brother. Thanks to everyone who took the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share your thoughts on the events in the comments below. Take care.